The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the grassy strip behind the old warehouse. 7-year-old Nyla Ellison's pink backpack caught the golden light as she walked her familiar path home, the drainage creek gurgling softly beside her. Her small fingers played with the toy cardinal keychain dangling from her backpack zipper, a little plastic bird that reminded her of the cardinals she often spotted on this route. "Hello, Mr. Cardinal," she whispered to her keychain, swinging it gently. "Did you see any real birds today?" The simple pleasure of her after-school ritual made her smile, her sneakers crunching softly on the well-worn path that up ahead on her porch. Mrs. Patel balanced on a step stool, reaching up to adjust a small black device above her door. Her gray hair was neatly pulled back, and her reading glasses hung from a chain around her neck. She turned and spotted Nyla, her kind face lighting up with a warm smile. "Careful up there, Mrs. Patel," Nyla called out, waving enthusiastically. "Just installing my new doorbell camera, dear," Mrs. Patel responded, climbing down carefully. "Now I can see who's at my door before I open it. Isn't technology wonderful?" The quiet afternoon shifted when the low rumble of an engine approached. A white police cruiser crept along the street, moving at a crawl. Through the windshield, Officer Rick Branson's stern face scanned the area, his jaw set in a hard line. Behind the wheel, Officer Kyle Drummond's shoulders were tense, his eyes darting between his partner and the road. Branson grabbed the radio mic. "Dispatch, Unit 47. We've got a juvenile trespasser on private industrial property." His voice carried an edge that made Nyla stop in her tracks. "But I walk here every day," Nyla said, her voice small but clear. She clutched her backpack straps tighter. "This is public land. My mom showed me on a map." Branson's car door swung open with a heavy creak. His boots hit the ground with deliberate force as he emerged, one hand resting on his belt. In the back of the cruiser, Thor, his K-9 partner, stood at attention, muscular and alert. "This is private property, young lady," Branson declared, his tone sharp. "You're trespassing on industrial land." Drummond stepped out more slowly, his younger face showing uncertainty. "Hey, Rick, maybe we should just..." He glanced at Nyla's small frame and pink backpack. "She's just a kid walking home. You want to question my judgment, Drummond?" Branson snapped, already moving to the rear door. Thor's eager pants were audible as Branson opened it, keeping a firm grip on the leash. The German Shepherd's powerful presence made Nyla take a step back. Her heart began to race as Thor's focused gaze fixed on her. The toy cardinal keychain slipped from her trembling fingers, landing in the grass. "Please," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "I just want to go home." "Control the situation," Branson muttered, letting Thor move forward, the leash extending. The dog's training kicked in, responding to his handler's tension. "Rick, take it easy," Drummond pleaded, his voice cracking. "This isn't necessary. She's just a kid." Mrs. Patel gripped her porch railing, her new doorbell camera's tiny light blinking steadily. "Officers, what are you doing?" "She walks this way every day." Nyla backed away from Thor's advancing form. Her foot caught on a rock, and she stumbled backward, landing hard. Her scream pierced the air, high and terrified. "Thor, forward!" Branson's command cut through the chaos. The German Shepherd launched forward, powerful muscles propelling him toward the fallen child. In seconds, Thor was on her. Nyla's screams intensified as the dog's teeth caught her sleeve, ripping the fabric. Her small body curled into a ball, protecting her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. "Stop resisting," Branson shouted, his face flushed with anger. "Stop moving." Drummond lurched forward, reaching for Thor's leash. "Jesus Christ, Rick. Stop this. Get that dog off her." Mrs. Patel's voice carried from her porch, shaking with fury and fear. Her trembling fingers already had her phone out, dialing frantically. The sound of ripping fabric mixed with Nyla's sobs. Her pink backpack lay in the dirt, the strap torn, contents scattered across the path she had walked so many times before. Mrs. Patel's phone connected. On the other end, Maya Ellison's screen lit up with an incoming video call. Mrs. Patel's voice came through urgent and breaking. "Your daughter, police, dog, come now." The golden afternoon light that had made everything seem so peaceful just moments before now cast harsh shadows across the scene. A terrified child on the ground, a dog's teeth in her sleeve. Two officers in stark contrast, one aggressive, one hesitant. And an elderly woman's steady hand holding a phone, her new doorbell camera recording every second of the unfolding nightmare. Maya burst through her front door, her ear scrubs still on and running shoes already laced. The familiar weight of her hospital ID badge bounced against her chest as she sprinted down the street. Her breathing remained controlled, measured, the same rhythm she'd maintained through countless military drills. Each exhale carried her forward as the sound of aggressive barking grew louder. The golden afternoon light that had seemed so peaceful minutes ago now cast an eerie glow across the neighborhood. Maya's feet pounded against the pavement, muscle memory from years of training taking over. She could hear Nyla's cries getting closer, mixing with the sharp barks of the police dog. Rounding the corner onto the utility easement path, Maya took in the scene in fragments, just as she'd been trained. Her daughter on the ground, pink backpack torn, German shepherd hovering. Two officers, one aggressive, one hesitant. Mrs. Patel on her porch, phone still recording. Multiple neighbors emerging from their homes, cell phones raised. Thor's teeth were inches from Nyla's face, saliva dripping from his jaws as he growled. The child lay frozen, tears streaming down her cheeks, her small hands covering her head. Officer Branson took a step forward, his face twisted with authority. "I'm finishing the control procedure," he announced, pulling the leash taut. "The subject needs to comply." Maya's training clicked into place like a key turning in a lock. Her voice cut through the chaos, precise and commanding. Three sharp commands in German, words she'd learned during joint operations with military K-9 units. Halt. Platz. Bleep. Thor's reaction was immediate. His ears flattened against his skull as he dropped to his belly, releasing Nyla's sleeve. A confused whine escaped his throat as his training overrode Branson's authority. Branson's face drained of color. His grip on the leash went slack as he stared at Maya, then at his now submissive dog. "What the hell did you just—" "You move that leash again, officer," Maya said, her voice carrying the quiet menace of someone who knew exactly how much damage they could do. "And you'll regret it." She stepped between Thor and Nyla, her movements fluid and controlled. Behind her, Officer Drummond fumbled for his radio, fingers shaking as he keyed the mic. "Dispatch, we need backup at radio all you want." Maya cut him off, gesturing to Mrs. Patel's porch. "It's all on camera now." Her eyes swept the growing crowd of neighbors, their phones steadily recording every moment. The crunch of tires on pavement announced another arrival. Sergeant Dana Chu's patrol car pulled up, lights off, but with purpose. She stepped out, taking in the scene with sharp eyes. Recognition flickered across her face as she spotted Maya. Memories of a joint tactical course years ago surfacing. "Body cams on now," Chu ordered, her voice carrying the full weight of her rank. Branson's hand moved to his chest, hesitating. His face had shifted from shock to something darker, more defensive. "I said, body cams on, Officer Branson," Chu repeated, louder this time. The edge in her voice left no room for debate. Maya knelt beside Nyla, keeping her movements slow and steady. "Baby, I'm here," she murmured, gentle fingers checking for injuries. The sleeve of Nyla's shirt was torn, revealing angry red marks where Thor's teeth had caught fabric instead of flesh. "Does anything hurt? Tell me where." Nyla launched herself into her mother's arms, sobbing. "I just wanted to go home," she choked out. "I always walk this way." "I know, baby. I know." Maya held her daughter close with one arm while raising her voice to address Drummond. "Call EMS now. My daughter needs medical attention." Her tone made it clear this wasn't a request. Thor had crept closer, still lying low, his eyes moving between Maya and Branson as if trying to sort out the chain of command. He settled by Maya's leg, tail low, clearly responding to her dominant presence. Branson stood rigid, his face pale with anger and embarrassment. His hand kept twitching toward the leash, but Maya's warning hung in the air between them. The crowd of neighbors had grown, their phones still recording, their murmurs growing louder with each passing moment. Sergeant Chu moved closer, positioning herself strategically between Branson and the Ellisons. She looked at Maya, her voice dropping so only they could hear. "I remember you." Maya met her gaze steadily, one hand still stroking Nyla's hair. "Then you know I don't bluff." The wail of approaching sirens filled the air as neighbors continued to gather. The late afternoon sun caught the tears on Nyla's cheeks, the torn fabric of her sleeve, the steady red recording lights of dozens of phones, and the uncertain shifting of a police dog caught between two authorities. The ambulance's red and white lights painted streaks across Maya's face as she sat beside the gurney, holding Nyla's small hand. Her daughter's fingers trembled in hers, still shaking from the encounter. Through the ambulance windows, the familiar streets of Glenvale blurred past, transformed by emergency lights into something alien and threatening. "Mama." Nyla's voice was barely a whisper. "Why did they let the dog hurt me?" Maya's throat tightened. She squeezed Nyla's hand gently, choosing her words with care. "Some people make wrong choices, baby, but we're going to make sure they can't do this to anyone else." The EMT checked Nyla's vital signs again, her movements efficient but gentle. "Blood pressure's good," she noted, offering a reassuring smile. "We're almost there." At the ER, Maya's colleagues sprang into action. Dr. Wilson, who usually shared coffee with Maya during breaks, now examined Nyla with professional detachment. Nurse Rodriguez, Maya's regular shift partner, carefully photographed each mark on Nyla's arms and legs. "Hold still, sweetheart," Rodriguez murmured, documenting a particularly angry red welt where Thor's teeth had caught Nyla's sleeve. "You're being so brave." Maya watched the process with both a nurse's clinical eye and a mother's aching heart. She knew the importance of proper documentation, evidence that couldn't be disputed or explained away. The torn pink backpack sat in a clear evidence bag, its ripped fabric a silent testimony to the day's events. Sergeant Chu appeared in the doorway, her presence both professional and apologetic. She gestured for Maya to step outside while Rodriguez continued the examination. "I'll be right back, baby," Maya promised, kissing Nyla's forehead. "Nurse Rodriguez is going to take good care of you." In the hallway, Chu's usual stern expression had softened slightly. She pulled out a business card and wrote a number on the back. "My personal cell," she explained, handing it to Maya. "I'm filing the incident report exactly as it happened. No sugarcoating." "Thank you," Maya said, pocketing the card. "But we both know how these reports can disappear." "Not this time," Chu assured her. "Too many witnesses, too many cameras." Their conversation was interrupted by heavy footsteps. Officer Drummond approached, clutching an official statement form. His face was flushed, his manner uncertain. "Officer Branson's preliminary report," he announced, avoiding Maya's eyes as he handed the paper to Chu. Maya read over Chu's shoulder, her jaw tightening with each word. The report described Nyla as aggressive and noncompliant, claiming she had charged toward the K-9 unit. "That's a lie." Maya's voice was deadly quiet. "My 7-year-old daughter charged a German Shepherd." "You were there, Officer Drummond. You saw what really happened." Drummond shifted uncomfortably. I just brought the paperwork." Maya pulled out her phone, fingers steady despite her anger. She called Pastor Greer, letting out a breath when his warm voice answered. "Lionel, it's Maya. Something's happened to Nyla." She explained the situation briefly, her voice controlled but tight with emotion. "I'm on my way," Pastor Greer replied without hesitation. "Stay strong, child. We'll handle this right." 20 minutes later, Pastor Greer's tall figure appeared in the hospital corridor. His presence seemed to fill the space with calm authority. He hugged Maya briefly, then studied the report with grave attention. "They're trying to justify excessive force," he observed, his deep voice carrying decades of wisdom. "But remember what I always say, stay precise, not loud. The truth will speak louder than rage." Maya nodded, drawing strength from his steady presence. "I know, but when I read their lies, channel that anger into action," Greer advised. "Document everything. Build your case brick by brick." Nurse Rodriguez emerged with a tablet, her face troubled. "Maya, you should see this." She pulled up a video file, the body cam footage Chu had transferred to hospital records. "Watch the timestamp." Maya leaned in, frowning. The video started a full minute after Branson and Drummond had arrived at the scene. The crucial initial interaction was missing. Chu appeared behind them, her expression darkening as she watched. "That's impossible. It was recording. I checked it myself when I arrived." The first minute, Maya's voice was sharp, "just happens to be missing." "I'll look into it," Chu promised, her lips pressed into a thin line. Later, as evening settled over the hospital, Maya sat beside Nyla's bed. Her daughter had finally fallen asleep, her face peaceful despite the bandages on her arms. The pink backpack sat in its evidence bag nearby, its torn fabric a reminder of everything that had gone wrong. Maya leaned close to Nyla's ear, whispering fiercely, "You did nothing wrong, baby. Nothing." Her phone buzzed, a message from Mrs. Patel. Maya opened it to find a video file attachment. The preview image showed crystal clear 4K footage from the doorbell camera, capturing the entire incident from the moment Branson's cruiser had first appeared. Maya stared at the phone, her hand finding Nyla's again. In the quiet hospital room, surrounded by the soft beeping of monitors and the distant sounds of the ER, she felt the weight of what lay ahead. But she also felt something else, the certainty that truth, captured in high definition, would not be so easily erased. Morning sunlight filtered through the hospital blinds, casting thin stripes across Maya's laptop screen. She'd barely slept, spending most of the night watching over Nyla while reviewing Mrs. Patel's doorbell camera footage frame by frame. The 4K video was crystal clear, leaving no room for interpretation. On screen, Nyla walked calmly along the grassy strip, her pink backpack bouncing with each step. The police cruiser rolled into view, and Branson's aggressive stance was immediately apparent. The audio picked up every word: Nyla's polite confusion, Branson's escalating commands, Drummond's hesitant warnings. Then came Thor's attack, unprovoked and brutal that Maya's hands clenched as she watched it again. The timestamp in the corner matched perfectly with the dispatch logs Chu had shown her. There would be no claiming this was edited or altered. She opened her email and attached the video file, addressing it to Ava Marcato. Maya had met the civil rights attorney several times in the ER, usually when Ava was representing victims of excessive force. The lawyer's reputation for taking down corrupt officers preceded her. "Ava," Maya typed, "my daughter Nyla was attacked by a police K-9 yesterday. I have clear video evidence. Need your help." She added her phone number and pressed send. Her phone rang less than 5 minutes later. "Maya." Ava's voice was sharp, focused. "I just watched the footage. I'm taking your case. Where are you now?" "Children's Hospital. They're discharging Nyla this morning. Stay there. I'm coming to you. We need to file preservation notices before anything conveniently disappears." Within an hour, Ava strode into Nyla's hospital room, her heels clicking purposefully on the linoleum. She carried a leather briefcase and the air of someone who never lost a fight she chose to take on. "How's she doing?" Ava asked, nodding toward Nyla, who was coloring quietly in bed. Physically, the bites were shallow. Maya shook her head. Mentally, she keeps asking what she did wrong. "She did nothing wrong," Ava said firmly, pulling out her laptop. "And we're going to prove it. I've already drafted preservation notices for the department. They'll have to maintain all K-9 training logs, radio dispatches, body cam footage, everything." They spent the next hour going over details. Ava's questions were precise, methodical. She documented every bruise, every torn piece of clothing, every moment of the encounter. The television mounted in the corner suddenly caught their attention. Chief Earl Kessler was holding a press conference outside the police station. "Yesterday's incident was a regrettable misunderstanding," Kessler said, his face a mask of practiced concern. "Officer Branson has been placed on administrative leave with pay pending a full investigation. Our department takes any use of force involving minors very seriously." "Misunderstanding." Maya's voice was tight. "He sicked a dog on my 7-year-old. Notice he's not denying the attack happened," Ava observed. "He's just trying to control the narrative." Classic damage control. A knock at the door interrupted them. Sergeant Chu entered, her expression guarded. "Maya," she said quietly, "I need to warn you. Someone's been asking questions about your military file. They're digging." "Who?" "Can't say for sure, but the requests came from inside the department." Ava made a note. "Attempting to discredit a witness. Add it to the list." Maya helped Nyla pack her things, and they headed home. The house felt different somehow. Less safe, less private. She double-checked the locks, drew the curtains, and tried to restore some normalcy for Nyla's sake. They were eating dinner when the knock came. Through the peephole, Maya saw a woman in business casual holding a clipboard. The ID badge read, "Child Protective Services." Maya's heart raced, but her voice remained steady. "Nyla, honey, go to your room for a minute." She opened the door, standing tall in the frame. The CPS agent smiled professionally. Miss Ellison, I'm Sandra Wheeler from Child Protective Services. We received an anonymous tip about potential instability in the home. May I come in? Maya smiled back, stepping aside. Of course, please enter. She pulled out her phone and dialed Ava, putting it on speaker. I hope you don't mind if my attorney joins us. Hello, Ms. Wheeler. Ava's voice came through clearly. This is Ava Marcato. I'll be recording this interaction, as is my client's legal right. Please proceed with your inspection. The CPS agent's smile faltered slightly, but she began her walkthrough. The house was immaculate, dishes done, floors swept, laundry folded. Nyla's room was bright and organized, her schoolwork displayed proudly on the walls. The refrigerator bore her latest artwork, careful crayon drawings of birds she'd seen on her walks home. Everything appears to be in order, Wheeler said finally, unable to hide her embarrassment. I apologize for any inconvenience. After she left, Ava was still on the line. They're trying to discredit you, Maya, which means they're scared. Maya looked at Nyla's closed bedroom door, thinking of her daughter's drawings, her curious mind, her gentle heart. Then they just woke the wrong mother. The evening settled over Maya's living room like a heavy blanket, the warm glow of table lamps creating intimate pools of light. Maya sat in her favorite armchair, surrounded by allies who had gathered to help plan their next moves. Ava Marcato claimed the dining room chair she'd pulled over, her laptop open and legal papers spread across the coffee table. Pastor Greer's tall frame occupied the far end of the couch, his presence steady and reassuring. Sergeant Chu perched alertly on a kitchen stool she'd brought in, while Mrs. Patel sat primly on the edge of the sofa, still clutching her phone with its precious video evidence. First things first, Ava said, tapping her pen against a legal pad. We need to file the official complaint tomorrow morning. I've drafted it already, but I want to make sure we include every detail. She looked at Maya. The more specific we are, the harder it is for them to wiggle out of this. Maya nodded, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. What about the press? They've been calling nonstop. We control the narrative, Ava replied firmly. No individual interviews yet. We release one clear statement through my office, focusing on the facts. An unarmed 7-year-old girl walking home on public land, attacked by a police K-9 without provocation. Let the video speak for itself. Pastor Greer leaned forward, his deep voice carrying years of community leadership. I can host a meeting at the church tomorrow evening. Get the neighborhood involved, but keep it organized. No shouting, no violence, just concerned citizens demanding accountability. The congregation mothers will come, Mrs. Patel added, her accent lending weight to her words. They remember their own children walking that path. And I have more footage from my camera showing other kids using that shortcut. Years of them, peaceful as birds. Sergeant Chu cleared her throat. There's something else you should know. She pulled out a folder from her messenger bag. I did some digging into Branson's K-9 certification records. His credentials expired 3 months ago. He's been operating Thor without valid certification. The room went silent as the implications sank in. That's a felony, Ava said, her eyes sharpening. Using an uncertified K-9 is considered deadly force without proper training. The liability alone. She started typing furiously that a soft knock at the front door made everyone tense. Maya rose to answer it, checking through the peephole first. Her shoulders relaxed slightly as she opened the door to reveal Councilwoman Ruth Hale, her silver hair neat despite the late hour. I hope I'm not interrupting, Ruth said, stepping inside. I heard there was a strategy meeting. Councilwoman, Pastor Greer stood respectfully. Your presence means a lot. Ruth settled into an offered chair, her movements deliberate. This isn't my first rodeo with police overreach. I was younger than Nyla during the civil rights movement. Some things haven't changed as much as we'd hoped. The public's already rallying, Mrs. Patel said, showing her phone screen. Look at Twitter. Justice for Nyla is trending in our area. My granddaughter showed me how to check. Maya watched the growing activity on the hashtag, seeing neighbors, parents, and local activists sharing the story. The doorbell camera footage had been viewed thousands of times. We need to move fast, Ava said, still typing. I'm filing motions for evidence preservation first thing tomorrow. Body cam footage, radio logs, K-9 training records, internal emails, everything. The department will fight it, Chu warned. They always do. Let them, Ava replied. Every attempt to block us is another piece of evidence showing consciousness of guilt. Pastor Greer pulled out his own notebook. I'll start calling church members tonight. We can have people ready to attend the council meeting next week. Peaceful pressure from taxpayers tends to make politicians nervous. Speaking of which, Ruth added, I've been talking to other council members. There's support for an independent review of K-9 policies. This incident might be the catalyst we need for real reform. Mrs. Patel suddenly straightened. Look, she held up her phone again. Channel 5 is running the story. They're using my video. They all watched as the news clip played, showing Nyla's innocent walk home transformed into a moment of terror. The reporter's voice was appropriately outraged, questioning the use of a police dog against a child. Ava's phone buzzed, interrupting the moment. She grabbed it, frowning at the screen. Well, someone just tried to access the police server where the body cam footage is stored. Looks like an attempted data wipe. Her frown transformed into a knowing smirk. They're desperate. Can they delete it? Maya asked sharply. They can try, Ava replied. But I already have 3 backups. Plus, I filed emergency preservation orders electronically an hour ago. Tampering now would be destruction of evidence. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, their sound carrying through the quiet neighborhood. Maya walked to the window, pulling back the curtain slightly to look out at the darkened street. Police cruisers had been driving past regularly all day, a show of force meant to intimidate. Let them come, she said, her voice steady and determined. I'm done running. The room fell silent again, but this time it was different. Not the silence of fear, but of resolve. These people gathered in her living room, with their legal papers and community connections and righteous anger, represented something bigger than one incident. They were the machinery of justice, grinding slowly but inexorably toward truth. The morning brought a steady drizzle to Glenvale, turning the sky a muted gray. Maya stood at her kitchen window, watching news vans park along her normally quiet street. Their satellite dishes pointed skyward like metal flowers seeking signals instead of sun. Inside, Nyla munched on her cereal, her small legs swinging beneath the kitchen chair. Remember what we talked about? Maya asked, checking Nyla's new backpack, bright purple this time, the pink one being held as evidence. Stay close to Miss Rodriguez during recess, Nyla recited. And if anyone asks questions about what happened, say no comment, like on TV. Maya's heart squeezed. A 7-year-old shouldn't have to know phrases like no comment. She knelt beside her daughter's chair. That's right, baby. And remember, I did nothing wrong, Nyla finished, managing a small smile. The drive to school felt longer than usual. Maya noticed 2 patrol cars shadowing them, staying just far enough back to claim coincidence. She kept her movements deliberate, using her turn signals with precise timing, maintaining exactly the speed limit. Years of tactical driving had taught her to be unpredictable, but today she needed to be beyond reproach. Reporters waited at the school entrance, held back by the principal's stern presence. Maya parked in the drop-off zone, walked Nyla to the door with measured steps. Camera shutters clicked like insects. Mrs. Ellison, do you have a response to Ms. Ellison? Is it true that? Maya kept her face neutral, one hand on Nyla's shoulder, the other holding an umbrella over them both. The principal, Mrs. Chun, met them at the door. We've increased hall monitoring, she said quietly, and the school board approved her temporary transfer to Ms. Rodriguez's class. Fewer windows, more privacy. Maya nodded gratefully. Thank you. Across town, Ava Marcado strode into the federal courthouse, her heels clicking against marble floors. She carried a thick folder of documents, the civil rights lawsuit she'd spent all night perfecting. The complaint detailed every violation: excessive force, failure to train, deliberate indifference, pattern and practice of discrimination. Each allegation backed by exhibits, precedents, and the damning video evidence. The clerk stamped the filing while Ava's phone buzzed. City Council had just announced an emergency hearing for tomorrow morning. Perfect timing, she muttered, sending a quick text to Maya, in Chief Kessler's office. The blinds were drawn against the rain and prying eyes. He leaned back in his leather chair, regarding Officers Branson and Drummond with barely contained irritation. Your initial statements need work, he said, sliding 2 folders across his desk. Too many inconsistencies. Fix them. Branson shifted uncomfortably. Sir, if we change our stories now, not change, Kessler cut in smoothly. Clarify. Add detail. Make them bulletproof. He stood, looming over his desk. Unless you'd prefer to face this alone. Both officers grabbed the folders. The confrontation with Sergeant Chu came an hour later. She appeared in Kessler's doorway, holding a printed timeline of the incident. The body cam footage gap isn't a technical glitch, she stated flatly. Someone accessed the server at 2 a.m. that night. Kessler's smile didn't reach his eyes. Careful, Dana. There's an opening in parking enforcement. Lots of fresh air. Walking your beat. Is that a threat, sir? That's career advice. Take it or leave it. Maya's phone started buzzing during her lunch break at the hospital. Notifications poured in. Social media mentions, tags, direct messages. Post after post claiming she suffered from military PTSD episodes and was known for aggressive behavior. She forwarded everything to Ava, who had her IT team trace the sources within hours. The results made her laugh out loud. IP addresses registered to City Hall, the police department, and most damning, Chief Kessler's personal office computer. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, Ava told Maya over the phone. This is exactly what we need. Proof of coordinated retaliation. The smear campaign escalated when Branson gave an anonymous interview to a local crime blog. The headline screamed, "Officer speaks out. Unstable mother charged K, 9-unit, endangered child." Ava's response was swift and devastating. She released the full doorbell camera footage online. Its crystal clear 4K resolution, leaving no room for interpretation. The video showed every second: Nyla's peaceful walk, Branson's aggressive approach, Thor's unprovoked attack, and Maya's controlled response. Within hours, it spread across social media platforms, news sites, and activist networks. Justice for Nyla became a national trending topic. That evening, Maya tucked Nyla into bed, the muted TV in the living room still running coverage of their story. National news anchors debated police reform while showing clips of the video on endless loop. "Mommy," Nyla whispered as Maya smoothed her blanket. People at school saw it. They said I'm famous now. Maya brushed a curl from her daughter's forehead. "No, baby. You're not famous. You're just the truth they can't ignore anymore." She kissed Nyla's forehead. Now the whole world knows. Outside, the rain had finally stopped. News vans remained parked along the street, their lights glowing in the darkness like earthbound stars. Maya stood at Nyla's window, watching them. Let them watch back, she thought. Let them all see. The truth was out now, carried on waves of light and data to millions of screens. There would be no more hiding in shadows, no more twisted narratives. The whole world knew, and they were watching. The town hall's ancient heating system groaned as people packed into every available seat. Maya sat in the front row beside Pastor Greer, watching faces both familiar and strange file in. News cameras lined the back wall, their red lights blinking like mechanical eyes. The wood-paneled room, usually echoing with mundane city business, now hummed with barely contained energy. Councilwoman Ruth Hale arranged papers at the raised desk, her silver hair catching the fluorescent light. Next to her, other council members shifted uncomfortably, aware of the crowd's scrutiny. Chief Kessler stood near the exit, arms crossed, his usual political smile nowhere to be seen. Pastor Greer rose slowly to the podium, his Vietnam veteran's pin gleaming on his lapel. The room fell silent as he adjusted the microphone. "Let us pray," he began, his deep voice filling the space. "Lord, grant us wisdom to recognize injustice, courage to name it, and strength to correct it." He paused, opening his eyes to scan the crowd. What happened last week wasn't just about one child or one dog or one officer. It was about power, who has it, who abuses it, and who suffers from that abuse. Maya noticed several council members squirm. Good, she thought. Let them squirm. We're not here for vengeance. Pastor Greer continued. We're here for accountability. When those trusted with authority abuse that trust, silence becomes compliance. He nodded to Ruth Hale. Thank you. Councilwoman Hale approached the podium carrying a large rolled map. Her movements were deliberate as she spread it across the display easel. These are the original county GIS maps from 1987, she announced, her voice clear and firm. They show something interesting about that strip of land behind the old warehouse. The projection screen lit up with a detailed survey overlay. Hale traced a highlighted path with her finger. This area, where young Nyla was walking, is not private property. It is a public utility easement established 35 years ago for water main access and designated for pedestrian use. Murmurs rippled through the crow.